Hello, and welcome to another Media Briefs episode from Media Voices. Short, sharp episodes sponsored by vendors who are working with publishers to make their businesses better. This episode I'm speaking with Naomi Owusu, co-founder and CEO at Tickaroo, a leading supplier of news and sports media solutions which enable publishing organisations to engage with their audiences in real time. I started our conversation by asking Naomi what Tickaroo does.
Hi Peter, my name is Naomi Owusu. I'm CEO and co-founder at Tickaroo. We provide a software as a service live blogging tool, mainly for the media and news industry. So basically it's a live content management system where journalists and editor can post live updates of an event. That could be like something like an election, but also maybe the Met Gala or a breaking news situation, but also weather phenomenon. Any kind of live news can be broadcasted and delivered to the audience via the live blog.
So this year, 2024, I think Time magazine called it the ultimate election year. There's elections in India going on now, and there's one in France in a week or two, and then there's the UK is probably going to be in November, and obviously the States is in November. So how are you kind of keying into that as a phenomenon with live blogging?
So I think elections and live blogging, they have a history. So normally the publishers use the live blog to update people on what's going on the election day, but we've also seen coverage that takes place before the election. So we have publishers in Germany like FAZ, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. They've started a live blogging now. And we also had for the German elections last time, we had a publisher that made a whole live blog about voters. So they did not cover the election, but they called it slow blog because it was going on for a couple of weeks. And they asked 49 people that represented the whole of Germany, so from any socio-economic status, to tell them what their concerns are, how they live, what they're expecting from the politicians, and also what they're expecting from the elections, how they would vote. And they covered it with videos, interviews, statements, but also images and photos of their everyday life situation. So that was a really nice coverage. It was not just an informative setting, but for the election, but it was more giving insights in what are people concerned about these days before the election.
That's a very different way of seeing live blogging than I would imagine it. My idea of live blogging in politics or sports, where a journalist is sat somewhere giving a regular update. But this is different, right? This is about user-generated content, I guess.
Yes, it is. And I think it's two things. First, I think it's a really good format because you can put short and snappy updates, which also look very nice mobile, in a whole story, as you tell a story, as a story evolves. So that's the kind of format people are used to. So not a too long article, but like get really quick updates. That's one thing. And the other thing is that you can really engage with the audience because the audience is very close to you. When you write an article, you make your research, you write it somewhere on your desk, far away from the audience, and then you post and publish it. And when you're writing a live blog, you're making news while the audience is watching. So I think you're very close to your audience. You see what they respond, maybe in the comment section, but also on social media. And we've seen that journalists and editors, they really react to and interact with the audience while they're live blogging.
So there's a big aspect there about, I guess, trust, but also news avoidance. If people are involved in the news, A, because it's updating regularly, but B, because they can actually participate. Does that help with that idea of news avoidance? And does it give people, I don't know, more trust in the content that they're actually seeing because they can see people like themselves?
Yes, I think they do, because they feel like they're part of the news, because they can interact. There are ways to interact with the comments or also with social media. And I think they also feel closer to the journalists, because it's more like an X situation where they see a user photo, they know who's writing. And also the journalists respond to the questions of the users. So we had some user-generated live blogs with one of our clients called Stuff from New Zealand, and they posted or reposted pictures that users or their audience sent them on a whole live blog on the supermoon, for example. So it was a whole user-generated live blog, and I think it's people just like that because they feel like they're seen. They feel like in the old days where they had a chance to be represented by local news. So you could read your sports results or the sports results of your kids in the newspaper, or you had the stories from the shop around the corner, the new shop. So I think the people feel more represented, and that's why they feel more involved, and that's why they have a connection to the reporter and to the publication.
I think if you going back to this year of elections, I think what's really interesting is this thing in the past, it was very much the politicians tell us what they think, and we all go, "Oh yeah, I'll vote for you," or "Absolutely not." But this turns that on its head, right? This is about people saying, "This is what I want to know about. I don't want to listen to your spin. I don't want this politician-led dialogue." It's very much, tell me what you're going to do about my local hospital, or what you're going to do about my schools, or whatever it is. Do you find that's how your clients are using it?
Yes, I think it does, because first we've seen that they start the process, like the live blogging process, not only on election day but before, to get to know what the users want, also to report about the users and their needs, as we saw with the Zeit Online example, the 49, and also. I think publishers are thinking more what communities actually need, and to find that they have to ask them. So we're seeing a dialogue between the journalists and the audience, and with our tool, they create blogs where they can use the comment section, but also report on special occasions, or report on community situations. Like we have this very, very great example from Stuff New Zealand, which is a live blog about potholes. So they have a pothole situation there, and they're reporting where to find them. And like it's a really very important community issue. So people just love them, and also the engagement is very, very high.
I absolutely love that example. I'm going to link to that example on the page. Because I think that, it's fun seeing people send in pictures of these huge potholes. And it's also fun to know that it's not just in the UK that there's huge potholes. They're actually in New Zealand as well. But I think what's really interesting, we hear a lot about solutions journalism. And there's nothing more solutions focused than, here I've got a huge pothole in my road. What is anyone going to do about it?
Definitely.
I think that is really powerful. So imagine I'm a publisher and I'm sat here and I'm thinking, oh, this is amazing. I'm covering elections, or I'm covering potholes, or I'm covering sport. My fear is going to be that this is really complicated. How do I get this in my newsroom?
It's very easy. So we have our tool can be integrated into the content management system of every publisher. It's a It's a technical JavaScript widget. That's a bit technical, but it works really easy. And they can style it as they want. So that's a one-time process. And in terms of usage, like how is it used? So journalists are used to working with X and working with Facebook, working with Instagram. And it's just as easy as any other social media posting or network. So people are really used to uploading images, writing text, making like a quick headline. So you have this one-time setup where you set up the style of your newspaper, your publication, and the editor just writes the updates and the posts, uploads videos, can interact with the comments. And that's also one thing we really take care of, that it's very, very easy for the publisher to post and to publish, because you have so many sources coming in, you have so many things going on, especially in a live situation. So we talk with a lot of newsroom, and we try to make it as easy as possible. That could also include maybe connecting partners they are working with, maybe news agencies or also image agencies. We have like a new AI feature where AI suggests subtitles for images. We all know that situation where you have to think about a subtitle. Someone comes and says, "Think about SEO. You have to get the subtitle for your image." And now AI can generate something. So we're really thinking about making this a very, very quick process for the editors, because we know they have no time, and we always see they have like 8 to 10 tabs open, to just track the situation and get all the information that is coming in.
But there's more than one person can work on the system at a time, is that right? It doesn't need to be just one poor journalist. You could actually have a team working on it.
Yeah. So historically, we had like an app, and reporters were really going out there reporting from the mobile app. We still have that. But what we have seen is that whole teams cover a situation. So there will be someone in the newsroom organizing, coordinating everything. There will be people checking photos. So it can be a whole team. And as we've also seen for the last US election, it was a very long one, which took a lot of days. So they actually worked in shifts, especially in Europe,
right.
because of the time difference, and it was going on, and it was like a very, very tense situation. And the fun thing was, because when we followed the live blogs, we just we saw editors like handing over to their colleagues on the live blog. So, okay, I'm going to bed now. I'll hand over to my colleague. He's taking care of the situation now. Good luck. I need to sleep. So this also had like a personal touch. Yeah. And I think that's nice, because it also helps to see journalists as human beings, not as, just someone doing their job, Yeah. And I also think that also builds trust and sympathy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that comes right back to the trust issue.
Yeah.
It's much easier to trust a human being than it is to trust a brand, maybe. The idea of international elections and people covering international elections or covering things in different time zones, does that mean that you could have people in different countries using the same system?
Definitely. That's not a problem at all. So we also have like a function where the journalists see when someone is editing a post. So they would know, okay, my colleague is on that, maybe a typo, which is also now corrected by AI. But before we had typos, so they would see, okay, one of my colleagues, and they would also see the name is working on that post, so I leave it for now.
So you've mentioned AI. We have AI mentioned in every single interview that we do these days, for obvious reasons.
I can imagine.
But the other thing I know that you mentioned is Taylor Swift, and everyone's talked about Taylor Swift. Again, I love the idea of this live blogging Taylor Swift ticket updates. That is just a fantastic example.
Yeah. It also shows how powerful it can be for community, because that was like a really emotional topic. I'm also a very big Taylor Swift fan, and I didn't get tickets.
Oh, no.
No. but I watched a movie.
Okay.
And you could just see how community is about building like a common sense, helping out each other, encouraging each other. So you could definitely get that feeling from the live blog. That's so it's powerful. You can
Commiserating
feel
with each other when they didn't get tickets.
Yeah.
The other thing I guess you do is polls. There's polls built into the system as well.
Yeah. We have since this year we have a new poll feature, and that also helps with engagement, but also with getting feedback from the audience, because you could ask any questions and you could get direct feedback, and that gives you a sense what might be interesting for your audience. Then what are you interested in, or what are your concerns, or what do you think about that? So if they answer and you see the polls, it definitely helps with giving them information that they actually require. Yeah.
The last thing I think I really want to get to is this idea of putting the audience at the center of the conversation. In the past, and I think one of the problems that we see with the lack of trust in media is the idea that it's top down. Do you think this idea that what we're actually seeing here is bottom up, where it's the audience that's setting the agenda?
Yes. So I can tell a bit about the company history. So when we started, we built a purpose. We actually started in sports, like sports reporting, and the idea was to also give fan reporters the chance to report small sports games like little leagues and stuff like that. And then we got into the news sector because news publishers said, oh, yeah, technology is so good, we can use it for news as well. And our purpose was, or is still at that time, like our 100-year goal is to democratize live reporting. And I really think it's really nice that, we are working for all the news agencies and the editors, but now this idea, as you say, of like bottom up comes, and it totally matches our purpose. So I think it's a really, really nice idea that we have the dialogue between the publishers and their audience, and it's really an issue now because of all the news fatigue and the trust issues. We didn't see that coming. We started 13 years ago, but our idea was to give everyone the opportunity to tell their story, to be seen, and to inspire each other, and also to help each other out. So I think it's always good to have like this curated situation. We also know that from social media what can happen if things just go wild. But I also think to bring in the topics from the audience, or to just listen to them. What are their concerns? What should I ask the politicians? What is the situation in what kind of community, what kind of people? So I think everybody's very concerned about this, and I just love this because our tool brings them closer together with all the examples I mentioned. So in our world, everything is going according to plan.
Well, I love the idea that you have 100-year plan. That's, I think that's amazing. That idea of curation is actually interesting. So people are scared of commenting for what you said because it can just go crazy and you lose control and all sorts of weird stuff happens. But I guess there's a filter with this where the journalist can choose to add these comments rather than it's just a free-for-all. Is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely a setting thing. So you could publish any comment automatically, but we also have a setting thing where you would choose from comments to add value to the conversation, and then you could dive into that comment. So that would be the curated situation.
Okay, my last question for you. What's your favorite example of how people are using Tickaroo?
Oh, I definitely love the sports reporting when the reporters are also a bit funny and are talking to each other while they're reporting. I love that. But the pothole example is it's so useful, and it shows like our 100-year goal, democratize live reporting.
Potholes.
I really like that.
The future of journalism is potholes. Thanks so much to Naomi for speaking with me. If you'd like to know more about Tickaroo's live blogging solutions, go to tickaroo.com. And if you want more from Media Voices, go to voices.media and check out our archive of almost 300 podcast episodes, or sign up for our daily Media Roundup newsletter.